Hello and welcome to Cheetah TV. My name is Brian Badger from the Cheetah Conservation Fund. In this series of videos, we're giving you a little bit of an insight in some of the projects and initiatives that are undertaken by the Cheetah Conservation Fund, both in Namibia and around the world. In this particular video, we'll be talking about the habitat restoration. Now, habitat, it goes without saying, is incredibly important for the survival of species, both animal and plants. Now, if you want to learn about habitat and the rangelands of Namibia and the forestry, well, there's no better person to speak to than Matti Nghikembua. Now, Matty is the chief ecologist and the forest steward for the Cheetah Conservation Fund. And what he doesn't know, well, it really isn't worth knowing. Now, just to give you a little bit of background information, this is a Bushblok. Now, a Bushblok is a solid fuel log, and this is a byproduct of the habitat restoration programs that are operated by CCF in Namibia. If you want to learn more about this and all the other projects that CCF are involved with, and also learn how you can get involved and indeed help, please visit our website at cheetah.org. And also, if you like the video, please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel. It really does help us grow. Well, without further ado, let's hop across to Namibia and speak to Matty. So
yeah.
You're one of the longest serving members of the team in Namibia. So how long exactly have you been with CCF?
To be honest, let me just start off. Coming here in '95 as a very young, very young Namibian student. I was at that time still studying, and we came through a tour. We had a beautiful, kind of like close contact with the cheetah. That was 1995. 1995, yeah. So I was just with a school group.
Huh?
And CCF was still, a very young organization at that time. Laurie introduced us to the cheetah, to the education program. I didn't even understand at that time what exactly it was. And then 2 years after, I had an opportunity, and that was 97, to come over and do an internship here.
Mm-hmm.
And then I joined, the staff in 1998. So It was a love story, just to let you know.
Yeah, that's perfect. So I can imagine that you've seen quite a few changes over that time.
Absolutely. I have seen, from just the humble beginnings. We had a very small clinic at that time, a very small education center. And then things started developing towards the year 2000. That's when we had, the facility dedicated to the public. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, seeing a lot of people come and go, lots of changes.
Yeah.
From then, if you compare that to now.
Mm-hmm.
But importantly is actually, seeing people from different places of the world having a passion and really an interest to save the cheetah. That is what keeps me going as well.
So, Matty, when we talk about, we've spoken about your history. Let's get up to present day, because you're heavily involved with the habitat restoration programs.
Yes.
CCF. So, can you give us a brief outline of some of the projects that are going on now and how they've developed over time?
All right. So, the Habitat Restoration Project is aiming towards, restoring the encroachment. We have a lot of bush, native bush, that has taken over a lot of the rangeland. And that creates a problem for the biodiversity. Cheetahs are adapted to hunt, at top speed, open habitats, grasslands, as well as their prey. And they're finding it very hard to live, in these sort of landscapes. Mm-hmm. So back in 2002, 2003 is when we started doing the first harvest on the CCF farms. Mm-hmm. And the harvesting actually requires that you should have some information before you do the harvest. So it's not just about, let's get rid of the bush. It's about restoring the balance that used to exist before we messed up with the environment. And so my job really is to help with, conducting some of the assessments. And by the way, one of our papers got published last month.
Oh, fantastic.
So we have to look at, for example, in these areas that are harvested, which wildlife species are coming back? What is the impact? Are some species maybe being disadvantaged? And that's also one of the reasons why we do a mosaic of, a harvest. So we're not just clearing everything, we are thinning, and we leave some clumps and stuff like that. So as a researcher, we go out there, we place camera traps in these places that are harvested, and we look at what animal species are coming back, which animal species are avoiding areas that are harvested. And we compare that also to a thick area as well. So we have a publication out there. I'm also looking at how much biomass do we have in an area, and that is like quantifying, how much you can remove off from an area and what species are in there, and how can you stratify your harvest, looking at, for example, do you need to remove, I don't know, how much percentage of the, like the young individuals, the middle class, or the mature trees and stuff like that. We are also studying soils, looking at, for example, when you are doing the harvesting, how does that affect, your soil nutrient availability? Because if you are removing the vegetation, you know that some of the minerals are locked up in the wood. And we have a method where when we're doing the harvesting, we let the bushes out in the sun to dry first before you remove them. And in that case, then you have the fines, the leaves, the young shoots and stuff. That's where you have most of your nutrient concentration. Those can fall back into the soil. And then that, you have a cycle going. And then also we have other things like birds that we are studying as well. What can we do without birds,
Yeah.
Yeah, so the program is quite involved. Yeah. And then we do also the new, like testing new technologies, the harvest technologies. If you are using a mechanical, machine, how much damage do how much damage are you doing in the environment? How efficient is it? And also looking at things like looking at products, like when you do thinning, can you convert that into mulch, or can you convert that into biochar that you can use for gardening and stuff? Because not everybody can do bush harvesting to produce Bushblok. So we have quite a lot of things going on. We have interns here now from the universities of Namibia, from the universities of science and technology in Namibia as well, trying to test these, biochar applications on the soils.
That's great. I mean, I know the like CCF is renowned to be a holistic organization, and I mean, even within their projects, it's very holistic. You're looking at absolutely everything, because sometimes when we look at a problem, it looks like a simple problem, but there's so many consequences to whatever you do. So you're looking at every scenario that you're going to impact the land. So just to go back to where the bush and the invasive bush, you say it's native, because a lot of people when they think about an invasive plant, they think of it coming like an alien coming in. So it's not an alien species; it's native species of bush.
Yes, in our case, I mean, you can have an invasive alien encroaching, but in our case, it's just native bush. The formerly known acacias. It's a bush that has got spiny, like thorns, and because of the imbalances, the mega herbivores were removed from the environment. Things like elephants, the rhinos. Your fire regimes are suppressed as well. You have some species that take up the rangeland because of that opportunity that was created. You know, there's no fires that are burning. The elephants are not knocking trees down or, you know, causing a lot of, you know, impact in the area. So these trees have an advantage over the others by, you know, spreading their seeds, and then they have these deep roots, tapping water from underground. And we are already a dry land. We are becoming much more drier. And it is a problem, especially now we have the climate change. We are creating dry lands on top of dry lands again.
Mm-hmm. So, as the name suggests, the Cheetah Conservation Fund, you know, the focus may seem to be on the cheetah, but the bush encroachment and like the desertification that you was mentioning, that impacts far wider than just the cheetah. Would you agree?
I agree absolutely, and it's one of the core things that we are trying to teach, that the cheetah does not live in isolation. Mm-hmm. A cheetah lives within the environment, and everything everything within the environment will impact the cheetah because it's an apex predator. It starts from, for example, the soil. If the soil is poor, the grasses will not grow. There will not be enough prey for the cheetah to eat. And the next thing a cheetah can eat will be a goat or a calf. And that escalates human-wildlife conflict, which is one of the reasons why we have this holistic approach for conservation. And not just looking at one aspect, don't just kill the cheetah, but take care of your rangeland as well. And then also having multiple stakeholders, people, you know, it can be, you know, people from the government, it can be the farmers, it can be the people, you know, the schools, it can be everybody coming together and, you know, working together to make the rangelands productive. That's the only way that the cheetah can survive. It does not live in isolation.
You mentioned the farmers, and I know that CCF is really invested in the farming community, and indeed Namibia relies heavily on farming for livelihoods and stuff. So how does that directly impact the farmer, seeing as though there is so much bush and not enough rangeland?
The farmers are impacted badly, to start with, because bush, you know, there's this thing called the interactions between the bushes and the grass layer. When you have a lot of bush, the grasses are suppressed. And as the grasses are suppressed, you don't have enough grazing for your cattle. And in areas like that, you will have animals animals can starve. We have now problems with, the climate change. And so you don't get rain every now and then. You can have some years with good rainfall and some years you don't have any rain. And if you are a farmer in a rangeland where you have a lot of bush, you are likely to actually suffer more from economic losses. And what we have found as well is there is a direct relationship between the economic well-being of the farmers and also their attitudes and tolerance towards further economic losses due to predators. So what you find sometimes is if there is an economic loss, either being from predators or from droughts or from theft or from diseases, name it, that actually lowers their tolerance towards any other losses. And so that's one of the reasons why you end up having what we call indiscriminate killings. So you'll have people going out there and trying to prevent losses by removing predators, even though they have not caused any loss. And so bush encroachment is definitely linked to human-wildlife conflict. And it's one of the reasons why we are trying to help the farmers to restore their rangeland. In that way, then we can increase tolerance towards, predators like cheetahs, but also create jobs, have wildlife, have tourism, and then also have a healthy, habitat for all of us.
Yeah, and the bush itself. I mean, the Bushblok project. I mean, the alternative, I understand, was charcoal. So how does Bushblok how is Bushblok better than charcoal for the environment, do you think?
Well, it is all to do with the way how it is produced.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not going to say charcoal is not good. Don't buy charcoal or anything like that.
Yeah.
But it's all about the way how it is produced. And we are certified. We are, FSC certified, which is Forest Stewardship Council, which is, a higher standard really in terms of forest product use. And we are audited. And that means that there are some principles that you have to conform with. You should not clear cut, meaning that don't just kill all the trees, because the trees are providing shade, they are providing the oxygen, and all the they're providing habitat for the birds, for the mammals, and stuff like that. But also you have to look at aspects like, are you really taking care of your workers? Because there are certain labor laws that you need to conform with. Are they paid well? Are their rights respected? Women empowerment, health and safety, and things like that. Unfortunately, when it comes to some, harvesting, especially in the charcoal industry, some of these things are overlooked. Mm-hmm. And you also look at people will use, for example, they will harvest trees that you're not supposed to harvest. They are protected trees. Do not harvest the tree that is protected. Or harvesting larger stem, stem diameters, yeah. Which in the Bushblok process, you don't need to have a larger stem. You can have, the brushy stuff, then it's chipped and all of that. It's an entire tree processing kind of like process. Instead of in the charcoal industry where you are focusing on, big lump charcoal and that can be damaging to the environment if it is not controlled.
Yeah, I wasn't suggesting for a minute that all charcoal producers are bad. That's it's the same the world over. There's good and bad in it. So with all the research and studies and operation that CCF has developed and pursued over the years, do the government do they look at CCF and use CCF as maybe a model?
Absolutely. We have very good relations with the Ministry of Forestry, Environment and Forestry. I mean, that's where we get our permits from. Every now and then we get invited to go and give a presentation or to attend, meetings. This month, actually, we were invited to go and be part of, the rangeland, forest management policy, fire management policy. Very, very good, actually. We have very good relations with them. And we are using platforms, for example, the Namibia Biomass Interest Group, which was developed a few years ago. And CCF was a co-founder of that. So now everything is, falling under that umbrella, and, things like protocols, where do you get your equipment, how do you harvest, everything now falls into the Namibia Biomass Interest Group. And the Ministry of Environment is also part of that. So, and all of these things really came from humble beginnings, like CCF trying to restore the rangeland with a biodiversity focus, not just let's go out there and make charcoal and sell and make big bucks. Mm-hmm. So now things have like a biodiversity, aspect to it.
So it's a very different scenario than a lot of, for want of a better word, industries, because CCF doesn't want to be the biomass kings. They want people to pick this up, use the research and development, mm-hmm. and go out and do it themselves. Is that correct?
Absolutely. We are a model farm. We are trying to model methods and also really trying to create more awareness to the public how they can utilize native bush. For example, our first product was, I can see there's a Bushblok there just behind you.
Yeah.
Which is very, very good. I like it. I do. I can see there. Well, I don't have any here anyway, but yeah, so Bushblok is one of our first products. You know, you can make Bushblok. You can do, you know, we have now a carbonized block. I don't know if you have seen one. It's just using exactly the same product, but putting that through pyrolysis. And then you have like a carbonized block, which is a bit much lighter, and you can transport it over longer distances. Bushblok is heavy, you know that for sure. We now, like what I mentioned earlier on, we are making biochar. Biochar is partly activated charcoal that you can give to your livestock so that you can reduce poisons that they consume. You can also use it as an amendment to your soil so that your soils can have good water retention and also nutrient retention. That we have now on display at the Bushblok. So we are open to the public, you are right. We cannot tackle the entire problem. There's a lot of rangeland. It's actually about 54 million hectares of the Namibian farmland that is encroached. 54 million hectares of the rangeland is encroached. And so, which is one of the reasons why we are trying to play a role. We want to demonstrate how can you do this in the most effective way, in a way that you can still create habitat for the cheetah and its prey. So it's a model.
Great. Does it surprise you that you know? Do you ever feel like, you know, well, this is it. This is what we're doing, and then all of a sudden something else comes up, like you were saying with the biochar and stuff like that. So there's always something coming up. There's always more alternatives and more stuff to develop and more uses for the bush.
There is absolutely more uses for the bush. We're trying to demonstrate that instead of just looking at the bush as a problem, you have to look at it as an opportunity. And by saying that, really, we are in a dry country. We don't have a lot of resources, but we have bush. And so, we don't just want to get rid of it, but we want to use it in the most efficient way and sustainable way. Definitely new opportunities will arrive. We are looking into bioenergy as well, you know, burning the bush to generate power, green power. And it's not a new concept. It's something that I'm sure there in the United States, you are doing as well. In Europe, that is also done by making use of, you know, forest residues or any other biomass that you have available. You can also do things like, there's a lot of chemicals that you can extract out of the wood as well. We're not there yet. But I'm sure that if you talk to Bruce, he will tell you that we have now a small laboratory. It's not open yet, but we are trying to look more into what are some of these products that we can derive out of the bush. Either being, you know, wood distillates, things that you can extract from the bush, whether it is looking at producing a different kind of wood quality, or making biochar, or name it. So there's definitely a lot of opportunities, and Bushblok is not just the only thing that we will be doing in the near future.
It very much looks like you've turned a negative into a positive, which is always good. You know, if the positivity is there, you're almost giving it as, oh no, not another problem. It's, oh great, another opportunity. So, you know, that almost gives inertia to the project.
Absolutely. It's because of you know, in conservation, and this is something that I have learned from Laurie as well. Conservation is never done.
Yeah.
So it's never done. So it keeps on evolving. And you still should have a focus on how to reduce human-wildlife conflict. But what you need to know is there is always new things that can come up. And like what you said, it's the inertia that actually keeps, the more people get involved in how they can better their environment, it's actually the more they can also be interested in saving the cheetah.
Yeah, that's always, you know, it's always nice to see. You've never got an end game, because as you rightly say, and Laurie says every day, you know, conservation is never done.
Thank you.
So Matty, I've been asking people, you know, when you're out, and obviously you're out in the field quite a lot. What's your favourite spot? What animal or part of nature do you get? You know, you've been there all your life pretty much.
Yeah.
What still gets you excited to see when you're out in the bush?
We have giraffe now there on the field. It looks beautiful. Springbok, they are not running away from you. It's just like you're in Etosha, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And we have now 3 individual cheetahs that are moving around wild. And that gives us a lot of excitement, because everyone going out in the field become, oh, I have seen it. You know, I have seen a wild cheetah. Wow.
We'll see some pictures of the yeah. And hopefully some footage of the big field. But just to explain to the viewers, then this is
yes.
an enclosed area. This is open landscape. You know, the animals are there because they choose to be there.
To be there.
Yes.
It is what. Yes. Okay. So I usually say these animals have never been handled by human.
Mm-hmm.
No one is feeding them. No one is checking whether they are healthy or not. They are moving wild and free. And it's actually what we want. Let them be out there and perform their role in the environment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so if you see one moving, you know, wild and free, it's a different experience than seeing one in a zoo, mm-hmm. or when seeing one in a national park. Mm-hmm. And that's actually what I keep telling people. If you see a cheetah here, it's not the same as seeing a cheetah in Etosha. Mm-hmm. This is something else. It's a different experience.
It always amazes me when you see, you know, whether it's a springbok, a steenbok, a duiker, a kudu, an eland, a hartebeest, you know, how good a condition they are. You know, when they kind of look perfect. And I know mm-hmm. When, you know, our zoo friends and stuff, they spend absolute fortunes on specialized diets and mm-hmm. and all the bits and pieces that keep them. Mm-hmm. And there are these animals out there just eating the most basic of not exactly great grass. You know,
yeah.
They look in such good condition. Because I guess because they're just left alone.
Yeah. They are left alone, and also because of we have what we call natural selection. Mm-hmm. And so we do get droughts, and they will get a bit skinny, or they can starve. But the ones that are stronger will continue. Mm-hmm. Which is one of the reasons why you always will find them in a good condition. Mm-hmm. It's because of this, you know, ongoing natural selection that is going on.
And of course, the predators are part of that kind.
And the predators are definitely part of that, because they are thinning out the weak, the sick, the vulnerable, and so on.
Mm. That's great, and it's a fantastic project, and the developments and stuff that has been made over the years is just astounding, and the future also sounds very exciting as well. So, Matty, I know how busy you are, and just for that little list, and I'm sure that wasn't the complete list. You just give us some highlights, but
okay.
Very much for your time, and we wish you all the best. Thank you for everything you do, and hopefully we'll see you again very, very soon.
Brian, thank you very much. I'm very, very happy to, to see you again. And, I'm jealous about your savannah that you have behind there with your giraffes and your bushblok. But anyway, thank you so much, and say hi to everybody. We are really thankful to what you are doing, and to, the donors, the community, everybody trying to help, conservation on this side of the ocean. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Matty. Goodbye.
All right. Bye-bye.
If you want to learn more about that project or any of the projects that CCF are involved with, both in Namibia and around the world, and also to make a donation or to sponsor a livestock guardian dog or a resident cheetah, please visit our website at cheetah.org. Now, if you liked the video, please leave us a like and subscribe to our channel. And you can also set the reminder for further episodes on Cheetah TV. Thanks very much for joining us, and I'll see you again next time.